This is very impromptu, so I'm just going to share some thoughts and ideas with you all. I live in Madrid, Spain. I've had a chance to meet many of you, which has been great, my fellow Spaniard here. Um, and so I grew up actually in the agriculture industry in California. And I always kind of felt like an outsider in an industry that I thought was not engaging and really taking advantage of changes that we needed to make in the industry, and I'll get back to that in a second. So I went off to college, and then ultimately, after 12 years with an executive recruiting firm running the media and entertainment sector for them, and out of Los Angeles and Hong Kong, I joined a venture capital group called eCompanies, and I've mentioned that in one of my questions. So I ended up doing that for 4 years. And then, as life happens, I ended up taking a 6-month sabbatical, and I moved to Spain. I bought a motorcycle and drove all around Andalusia on a Harley Sportster. Crazy, just needed to just start a new life and try something new and different, which was a lot of fun. And then ultimately, I met my husband, who is a surgeon, a Spanish surgeon in Madrid. And
That wasn't motorbike related.
no, but I met him when I went to. This is interesting, and why I'm even talking about this. I went to an Echo Ashram Lodge in Palma. I didn't end up telling you this, in Palma, Mallorca. I broke 2 discs in my back and ended up in the Palma Clinic, which was not. We need a clinic there on the islands in Spain. And I needed to get out of that clinic as quickly as possible to Ruber International, which is an international hospital in Madrid. Well, funny thing is, my husband's a neurosurgeon. He usually does brains, but he does backs too. And my good friend's brother-in-law had been trying to introduce me to him for years. And we were both too busy, so we never had a chance to meet. I was traveling constantly. When this happened, I called Antonio, who's a neurologist, and he said, "Hey, you're going to meet my partner now, the neurosurgeon I've been trying to introduce." I was like, "I haven't washed my hair in 4 days. This is not going to be pretty. I've been on my back, like, trying to heal." I was in so much pain. It was hitting my sciatic nerve. So I finally made my way, because the clinic wasn't up to par, to Madrid, and he ended up doing surgery on me. Isn't that a funny story? So we met, and he was like, "Oh, you're the American I've always been told I needed to meet. Well, I can't believe you're smiling and you have sciatic nerve pain." And I said, "Yeah, because I'm meeting you. I'm smiling." It was just really amazing. And he, at that point, said, "What's an ashram? And what's an eco lodge?" And since then, we have probably traveled to 20 different eco lodges and wellness centers around the world, starting in Siwa, Egypt. I don't know if anyone knows that. They have an eco lodge. That was my first eco lodge I went to probably 16 years ago. Complete ecological friendly, made out of clay, light, no electricity. It was incredible. And then what happened is, over the last couple years, I realized, wow, there's a real pattern here. All I do is, our last eco trip was to Portugal, and it was an eco lodge there. And I'm really naturally drawn to that style of living. And I realized it had become so integral into who I am that I thought, I need to really change my own personal life, because I wasn't living and acting what I believed in. So I am no expert in the topic. I've just really worked on getting smarter on the topic and doing this by lifestyle choices. So I really believe in the circular economy. And some of the things I'm doing now, just to bring this to life, because I know that it's a corporate thing. A lot of people, when you ask them, what can we do as individuals, they say, "Oh, you really can't make a big difference. It's the corporations that have to change to not have such a big carbon footprint." I would disagree. I think it's one island at a time, and we are all islands of our lives and owners of our lives. And the decisions we make every day will have an impact if all of us altered our decisions. So let me just tell you a few things that I've been doing. And again, I'm no expert. I just am trying to be well studied on it. So in addition to all the informal stuff that I've done, I recently took an ESG course. That's Environment, Sustainability, and Good Governance. I took a course online, and then I took a course at IE Business School. Learned a lot about, we had fantastic speakers from the European Union leaders on climate change to the head of Acciona Alternative Energy. So I mentioned Portugal. We are building a home there on the beach and on the water in Óbidos. We have committed to make it a real eco-friendly and ecological home. So that's one thing. All alternative energy, solar panels, wind energy, it's the perfect spot for that. So that's one personal thing. Another little thing that we're doing is sustainable fashion is an oxymoron. Fashion is not sustainable, okay? Inditex, love them, they're from Spain, but the masses amount of clothes that are produced, it's so sad. We have a foster daughter in Ukraine. I'm also about sustainability of families. So we foster a couple kids, but one in particular is gonna be living with us soon. She's an 8-year-old, gorgeous little girl. She's going to be a nice young woman, but a little girl. She's lovely. Yeah, it is amazing. And so we spend time going to the orphanages there and supporting them, putting Wi-Fi. I talked to someone about this. Wi-Fi is the key. I'm also on a board and we built 2 orphanages in Eldoret, outside of Nairobi, in Kenya, and we have a big sustainability farming program going on there too. So I really believe in the give back work, and the caring thing has only stepped up because of COVID, like you said. People care and want to help each other so much more. And so getting back to the sustainable fashion as an oxymoron, what's happening is with fashion is oftentimes they're using the homes or the centers for poor people, even the refugees coming in or third world countries. That's become oftentimes the dumping ground for this fashion. So instead of dumping it in the dumps, we go to the orphanages in Ukraine. You can't even imagine the piles of clothes that are there, and they think they're doing good by shipping it them. Oh, these poor people need clothes. Katya shows up to our house with so many new clothes, from Gap to Louis Vuitton t-shirts. I'm like, nothing matches, by the way, and the shoes maybe don't fit, but boy, do they have access to lots of clothes. So one thing I'm doing, EcoCalf, is these are little things. I'm giving you little examples. EcoElf, not EcoCalf, EcoElf, EcoAlf. My girlfriend just joined this entrepreneur as the chief merchandising manager from Polo Ralph Lauren. I'm wearing one of their dresses today. It's fully sustainable, organic, reusable products, material. I brought Julie. I asked her to get these out of her room. This is a little logo here that says, "Because there's no planet B." At least there's no planet B right now, maybe soon. But this is made from upcycling the ocean materials. Upcycling plastic bottles. By 2050, if we don't take care of the ocean, there's going to be more plastic than fish in the sea. It's just unbelievable. We've all seen the plastic islands in Indonesia. So these are sustainable tennis shoes. These are, pass them around. And they're comfortable. I wore them here. These are flip-flops made of tires, fully 100% reusable tires. Think about just little decisions that we make every day make a difference. My decision was I went fully electric with a car. Sometimes I haven't yet, but been very close to run out of electric energy. But it is. I did it as a intentional decision to lower my carbon footprint. Investing, big topic. Ask whoever manages your money, ask them what their green investment strategy is. Ask what their ESG. There's very clear, there's probably 16 different ESG regulatory monitors, but there's 2 really important ones. Ask which ones they use, and ask the percentage of all of their investments, how much of it is ESG related. I just did this, and he was like, you can't even believe my investment manager was so on top of it. He almost did a full presentation for me. I was like, wow, I'm clearly making you a little nervous on this topic. He goes, no, everyone's asking us this these days, and it's important for us. Invest in companies that care. Invest in companies. I know Google does care. Google's doing some interesting work on ocean research, on figuring out the big data centers. Big data centers are a massive consumer. They're a huge carbon footprint, as we know. What are they doing to manage the data center output? Invest in companies that care. So the investment strategy, that's probably one of the biggest ones, you guys, little do you know. But if we would really dig into what percentage of their investments are labeled ESG, that is going to push the needle, because then that's going to show that these companies care. Julie mentioned I'm an activist. I'm an activist, and I don't even realize I'm an activist. One of the things I am an activist on as well is I am a true blue feminist. I love men, but I'm a feminist, and I'm not embarrassed to say it. It used to be an embarrassing word, right? And now we can all say it. And so is my husband, by the way. He has, 50% of his whole staff are women. He believes women are, such amazing partners in all aspects of business. So I ran an organization that was just pushing women's balanced leadership called PWN Global around the world. And I know what it's like to talk to corporations about that and become smart enough on the topic. So that's my personal commitment. This ESG course that I'm doing, I facilitate strategy and priority programs for big companies. NTT in Japan's one of my big clients. I've committed, and I've said to them, I said, hey, I've been working with you for 5 years. I'm now going to spend an hour talking about ESG leadership and how your leaders are really pushing decisions and acting on ESG-related decisions for their company. So I'm building it into my repertoire now. So make personal commitments like that. Sustainable textiles, talked about that. The circular economy, one of the things we're doing on the circular economy. We all love fashion. I wish I lived next door to Julie because I would offer her this as well. But one of my best friends, Teresa, who runs IE Executive Education, we are the same size, and I think you and I are about the same size too. She and I, every month and a half, and yesterday I was wearing her dress, we exchange clothes. We exchange clothes, and it's like new clothes. So I went over to her house before I came here. She had 4 things dry cleaned, ready to go. She was like, okay, and cute things. I told her I was coming to Greece. I was like, I don't want to buy new things. I want to, recycle, upcycle, practice the circular economy. How can you guys do that? Because our old stuff that we don't like is someone else's new stuff and treasure. Okay, so really, that's a simple thing there. And I think that is natural living, plants, spreading the word. That's what I'm doing. I agreed to do this for Julie just to spread the word.
No, stay. You're really your friends. I know how important relationships are, and some people struggle to kind of know exactly how, when friends are friends, they don't want to do business with them and stuff like that. Maybe you have just some thoughts on how you've done that, because what you didn't mention is that through the work that you did at Russell Reynolds, through the work that you did at all of the consulting firms and so forth, a heck of a lot of interesting people who've led businesses, people with a lot of money and so forth. How do you manage that? You do have some interesting ways of thinking about that.
Yeah. First of all, I'm not very good at promoting myself that way, so thank you for mentioning this. Maybe that's part of the secret too. When I was managing the entertainment and media practice, Disney was my main client, and it was during the Michael Eisner days, during their exponential growth. And so I imagine hundreds of executives came through my door, and it was pretty remarkable. They all ended up being, at one point, the president, COO, CFO, and head of strategy were all people I brought into the company. And they then all became, COO of Spotify, CEO of TikTok, CEO of Comcast, CEO of eBay. I mean, I can go on. The list is pretty huge. And they were all clients that I reference, and I always remind them I know more about them than most people do. So if they want to, keep their backgrounds quiet. And by the way, it's very interesting. I will say this. One of the people ended up being the CEO of a company. I just want to say this, so it's really a reality check. One of the CEOs who ultimately became a CEO. I'm not going to mention names, so you have no idea, of a very big company that everyone knows around the world. No. He was a former heroin addict. hmm And I can't tell you how many stories like that I say this because those are real issues. And he cleaned up his life, and I worked with him on making it a purpose-driven catalyst in his life, something that he overcame. I guess I'm saying this because we all have to be compassionate, and we all have to realize that we can turn around our lives and rebuild, and we just have to care about each other, and we have to care about this planet. And that is my MO. I care about my clients, and I care about I'm super strong on my opinions, as some of you know, and we've had these conversations. I also really want to connect with people on a very genuine personal level where I give more than I want to take. I very rarely can ask someone for something without giving them 3 times things first. And in fact, oftentimes my clients will say, "Why don't you ever ask for anything?" It's hard for me to ask for things, but I'm a big giver. So.
Well, thank you for sharing that.